After finally getting through Death Stranding's director's cut on Steam and having a fantastic time running the United States of America's logistics and truck driving simulator with truly the highest budget any game in the genre will ever see, I found myself easily gravitating to a game called Easy Delivery Co. Easy Delivery Co. has a similar loop actually to Death Stranding, and with the music being more jungle, DNB, and lo-fi focused, it was a day one for me to get into this game for Christmas break. However, when it comes to me finally beating this game, I have to say that the game is okay, but it is memorable, and that of course is for good reason. But it feels like the game is not truly what maybe the developer wants it to be, like things are missing here and there. With all of it culminating into actually feeling more like Heretic's Fork than I thought I would be playing for my next game, but here we are, playing Easy Delivery Co. When you start this game, the main menu is in a CRT aspect ratio, 4:3, and it boots up an OS system, very similar to Heretic's 4. When you have the OS system pop up, it says Easy Delivery Co., and you have a multiple of applications you can use. Job EXE application is how, of course, you do your delivery jobs, with a map being on the right side and the left side being how long the distance is and how much it pays you when you finish the job. Mail.exe is exactly what you think it is, except in this case, it's mostly for tutorials and there really isn't any communication with characters via email. And then you have goals.exe, which is actually like your main missions and your side missions. Altogether though, this works as a proper system of getting from point A to B and not losing where you're supposed to go in any time of playing this game. However, the town is very Silent Hill-esque or David Lynch Twin Peaks-esque. Everybody kind of talks weird and odd. Doesn't really seem like things are what they are supposed to be. And they talk about the previous delivery driver as a way of kind of getting you an idea of maybe what happened to the person named Seb, who you're taking the job after. And when all is said and done, you talk to a guy that's next to a campfire who fixed your map, and you realize that your goal is not just delivering packages, but something more interesting. Driving works well for what the game is trying to offer, and the truck always handles well. There is an energy system that determines how fast you move outside your truck, and even a heat buff by drinking tea that prevents you from freezing to death. This is the only case I can see that you can die in the game and something weird happens. In the other case of your truck just blowing up, you'll just kind of spawn back with your packages. And when it comes to packages, basically if you lose, let's say, 3 out of the 4 packages that you have, the game is quite lenient in this sense, which I appreciate, where you take one package, you put it back, and they just kind of reappear. And when you basically deliver it, you get no penalty from losing the packages outside. However, there is some issues with this, as there's many shortcuts in the game to get off ramp, and I was too afraid to lose my packages again, as I took a shortcut, my packages would just always fall out my truck bed. So I kind of wish there was an upgrade system with maybe straps or something that you can actually fasten the packages, or at least like 1 or 2 to the back of your truck. And then I'd probably be more willing to actually kind of experiment with the actual delivery, because some of these drives are long and kind of don't want to keep going in and out of your truck, putting the packages back into the back as much as possible. You're kind of more leaning on being more careful with your packages and to finish the deliveries as fast as possible so you can get the new upgrades. For the story also has truck upgrades through the game to get through certain obstacles like heavy snow, ice, and the side upgrades kind of bring up the questions I have for this game. This game feels like it was meant to be way bigger than it is. Finish all the side quests, which I did, finish all the main goals, and while I'm doing all of this, there is one annoying thing that I will always remember, and that is the radio in this game. I wanted to listen to DNB when playing the game. However, the soundtrack is more lo-fi and DNB, and when you're doing intercity transportations, as there's like 3 different basically biomes that you go through, and the ones that make the most money, of course, is the ones that go from the farthest of A through B all the way to C. And when you're going through A, which is called Snowy Peaks, you always hit an area where your radio cuts out and it starts playing like easy news in your ear. And with that, on top of the fact that there's a really heavy low-end cut in DNB, you're listening to drums in blank because there's no bass in the song. I try to look, I put the music all the way up, I turned that speed chime thing off in the settings, and when I'm listening it, when I was working and writing on this review, the YouTube videos had the bass. The bass is in there, but for the immersion, I guess, they decided to take all the bass out, or majority of it, for the DNB tracks that are in the game. And because I played this specifically to listen to a hospital-esque radio and deliver packages just like how the trailers EQ'd their music, huge disappointment. Huge. And the lo-fi music that plays is good in its context, but that wasn't really shown in the trailers. So the idea that that's like half the music in the game is kind of a bummer to me, not gonna lie. Kind of feels like it was some false advertising. However, the game mechanics though are decent. They're good at its core. Some design choices feel not fully connected. The story is told in like deliveries like Death Stranding, where you get from point A and B and you get like a little cut scene, which is just talking to the store owner. Or there will actually be the person I was talking about next to the campfire. You'll be talking to them and they'll give you more story operations that makes it feel more like there's stakes in the matter, which all kind of culminate into a sci-fi and supernatural-esque story, which is very Death Stranding. That I do greatly appreciate that, and I do like it, and I want to see more of this in games. So with this being such a weird thing for me, where I was like super hyped on this game and then it was just kind of okay, I am excited for what this developer will work on next. It's a very good start for sure, and so I'm giving Easy Delivery a 7 out of 10 out of my subjective bias, of course. I recommend this game to people that like Death Stranding, Silent Hill, and Kona, with a bonus of if you live in the area where it snows for half your year like it does for me. The game will probably feel a bit more cozy to you than somebody who maybe lives next to the equator. I hope you get good rest, I hope you get good sleep, and I will see you when I find something interesting to share. Peace.